Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, look what has just arrived. This actually got here about noon. This is the Marx 1998 A.T.S.F Topeka and Santa Fe diesel locomotive. Missing both of the front and rear trucks. Now I got this thing and this was a absolute wreck. I bought it for parts. I paid $6 for this thing and just got it up and running, so I wanted to do a video on this. As you can see, the layout is very much like the A.T.S.F 3254, a big heavy frame with the motor mounted in the middle of it. Now the interesting thing about this is this motor was just, this plate was folded all the way over to the other side, and yet there's no damage to the body, which means somebody had this apart, got pissed off and threw it, I think. And there's no damage to the rest of it at all, but this motor was majorly tweaked. So anyway, of course it didn't run, didn't even buzz. Dead as a hammer, which is why I got it for $6. And it was really, really damaged. I had to replace the brush plate, bypass the E-unit, and this thing was dead as a hammer. And the bearing for the armature is poor at best. Still running, or still working, but really, really worn. I had to replace the main contactor. So this thing was in generally terrible condition. You can see it's got one broken handrail right there. Now this is cast pot metal, and like I said, there's no way to account for this damage to this motor if there's no damage to this pot metal, which means the motor was damaged while it was out of this thing. In any case, I got it for $6. And it got here, and I was really, really interested to see if I would be able to get this running. Now, this is unlike any other Marx motor. The layout is the same, but it is extremely different, with a completely different gear system. I don't know if you can even be able to see it this way, but anyway, it's a double reduction motor, but it's not like the 666 double reduction motor. First of all, it has much smaller wheels, complete different gearing system. Which is one of the reasons I wanted to work on this. I'd never seen one before. So in any case, I just got it up and running and ran it on the bench. And it took about 5 hours to get this fixed. This thing was broken. I mean, it was majorly broken, which is why it was being sold for parts for $6. So anyway, I just got it put back together, put it on the rail, I ran it on the bench. It's actually running fairly well. How it's going to pull, I don't know. So I just put 4 13-inch passenger cars on here for now. So this is going to be the first test around the rail. Power is on. Now, as you notice, before I run this, it is essentially a 588 on steroids. Very, very similar. Same body design, same overall layout. But anyway, I had never worked on one of these. In fact, I'd never even seen one in person. Whoops. And so I wanted to make sure that I knew how to fix one of these. So I bought one, and the various worst one I could find, obviously $6. Anyway, ran it on the bench. It took hours to fix this. So it's going to be its first trip around the rail, pulling 4 13-inch passenger cars. Let's see how this goes. Well, that's running really well. And the headlight is working. So like I said, it's missing the front and rear truck. But like I said, I bought it just for the experience of fixing it. And the fact that it was $6, and if I couldn't fix it, oh well. I had plenty of parts left over from it. I could have used the brush plate, axles, brushes, springs, things like that. But this is actually running quite well, as you see. So it just reinforces everything I say about don't overlook the junk. This was $6. And of course it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours to get it running. This was majorly damaged. I had to completely gut this motor and basically reassemble it with different parts. Replace 2 of the wheel bearings, the main contactor, the brush plate, the brushes, the brush springs, bypass the E-unit. Had to make one part, a retainer for one of the gears. Anyway, interesting to note that it's up and running, and it's not a prize. And the thing is, excuse me, a lot of dust on this thing, as you can probably tell. It is absolutely filthy, and it had been stored someplace, but no accounting for the damage to the motor, since there's no damage to the body. So the only thing I can think is if somebody had it apart trying to fix it for whatever was wrong with it, didn't run something, and got mad and threw it. Because like I said, this was bent all the way over to this other plate, and yet there's no damage to the body. So whatever happened to it while it was disassembled. Anyway, I found this on eBay. A guy had it $12 or make offer, and it was in such poor condition. I contacted him and I said, look, this thing's junk, obviously. I'll give you $6 for it. And he agreed. He said, sure, okay, great, here you go. Anyway, so I bought it, I don't know, 5 days ago. It just got here. I had lots of doubts that I was going to be able to get this running. I mean, this was just in absolutely terrible, terrible condition. But surprisingly enough, it's actually running quite well, and it's pulling 4 13-inch cars. So let's take this around again. Excuse me again. That's actually running really well. So, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to get it cleaned up, make it look as best I can. I might be able to cobble a couple of trucks together. Now, the interesting thing about this, of course, is it's a switcher, and it had a front truck and a rear truck, and the trucks actually have the couplers on them. And so I just made a quick emergency coupler on here, just with a tab and slot, just to be able to run it, to see if it would run and how well it would run. But surprisingly enough, this is actually running pretty well. And so I added a traction tire to it because I didn't think it was going to be able to pull anything at all. And to my great surprise, it's pulling 4 13-inch cars with no problem at all. So I'm sure it'll pull all 6. It'll probably pull all 8. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on this. It's a very, very interesting motor. Different than the standard Marx motor. In fact, it is the coils are wound in the opposite direction, because when I bypassed the unit, I had to change my connection because it ran backwards, which is really interesting. So it's an interesting motor. And let me pull this off the rail so you can actually see this motor. It's double reduction, but it is not double reduction like a Marx 666. Completely different setup. Same general design, but completely different in its layout. And none of the parts are interchangeable. It has different size wheels, of course, and much larger frame, notched in a different place, and has flanges for mounting it to the body or the frame. Anyway, it's up and running, and surprisingly running really well. I ran this on the bench. But on the bench, you have no idea at all how well it's going to pull, especially on a motor that I was totally unfamiliar with. I had never seen one of these before. So anyway, let me get this car back on the rail, and I'll run it around without the body on it. Okay, power's on. Let's take this around. Whoops. I got a wheel off. See if I can get it back. Come on, you can do it. There we go. All right, that's better. All right, try again. That's better. So you can see the thing is just zooming, and it's running absolutely perfectly. So it was definitely worth the $6, and it gave me something to do today. And I was, like I said, I wanted to buy this just so I could see if I could fix it. Like I said, I've never seen one of these before, and this is just about the bottom of the barrel. $6, so you really can't beat it. Surprisingly enough, it's up and running. So what I'm going to do with it, no idea really. Like I said, I'm going to get it cleaned up and probably run it. It's missing the front and rear truck, but it is running, so it is an original old engine, and it looks nice, well, reasonably anyway. It's intact other than those two wheels missing, and no appreciable great damage to it. It has a broken rail there, but again, I bought this basically just for the challenge to see if I could get it running. This was one of the worst condition locomotives that I have ever bought, and like I said, I offered the guy $6. He took it. I was really surprised, and incredibly surprised that I got it running. Like I said, I've never seen one of these before, so I've never worked on one. But it took, I don't know, 4.5, 5 hours, I guess. I mean, I had to gut this motor completely. And as soon as you got one thing fixed, you'd find something else that needed to be fixed, and then something else, and then something else. And like I said, I think it was thrown, not dropped, because there was a lot of damage to this thing. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on this. It was fun fixing it, and it doesn't look bad. And as you see, it runs well. That's 40% power pulling 4 13-inch cars. So that's actually running quite well. So anyway, it was an interesting day. This is the Marx 1998 A.T.S.F, Topeka, and the Santa Fe diesel locomotive. Anyway, $6 on eBay, which just reinforces everything that I always say: don't overlook the junk. Now, I bought this just for the challenge of getting it running, but surprisingly enough, it's running. So I'll clean it up as best I can. I'm not going to put a dime into it, so I'm definitely not going to buy those trucks that it's missing. So I'll just see what I can do with it. It was a fun day getting this old, beat to death engine back on the rails. A lot of fun. Anyway, as I stress, don't overlook the junk. $6 on eBay. And if you're willing to get your hands dirty, you can fix almost anything. So I just wanted to do a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email. BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.